Hi guys, so this is my second week on Ark. Getting used to the game now, starting to really get a feel for which animals are dangerous, which ones are not, what works, what doesn't, what I need to craft things. Starting to realise that the beach that we're at, even though it's good for getting early amounts of metal, it's not very good considering we keep getting attacked. There are Xenos everywhere, raptors, alpha raptors running at us, like those little spitty dynamos and dinosaurs absolutely everywhere. And yeah, I'm spending almost as much metal as I'm grinding on fixing my armor, getting ammunition and whatnot, and building defenses. So decided to move. There's an island up the top right of the map. It's called Hell. We're not going to move there, but we are going to move to a place nearby it called Cool Lake. So yeah, hopefully we'll have a little bit of better time there. As you can see, we're having a bit of a rough time here. Therizino's attacking the pen, even through the defences that I've built. Therizino's still managing to attack just about anything inside the pen. So this needed to be fixed. Oh yeah, and not to mention the fact that these gacha clauses are walking around all over the place, and as much as they're passive and don't hurt anybody, they're still a massive pain, and they can get in the way very often. But we do have our way of dealing with pretty much all of these things. Now, there is a positive. Flying's back. I've been looking forward to this. I've been wanting to fly over the map, get a sense of everything. I want to see the whole map. I want to see what's what. I want to find a nice flat area. I want to build on top of a mountain. I want to do all of those epic things. So we're going to get going. We're going to scout around. We're going to find a good place to build, a good place to set up a proper camp. Because as much as I do like this beach camp, it really is just a starting point. So yeah, it's flight time. So flying is something that I was both looking forward to and also worrying about, because I think that it breaks the game. If I'm honest, I think at least having it this early on, um, you can go anywhere and get anything at this point. The dinosaur flyers can't carry much weight, but later on, when you can tame giant birds, they can carry a ridiculous amount of weight. And when you level that up, you're talking about being able to go up and get sort of 300 to 600 metal, which is quite a lot of metal. Certainly earlier on, anyway. It's not a lot later on, but early on, this is quite a lot of stuff that I feel like you get given too early, too easily. But it's fun. I mean, what can I say? How do I say? Oh, you can't have flyers, but at the same time, acknowledge that it's probably one of the most fun aspects of the game, like flying over a map, seeing the grandeur of it, the size of it, and everything. I don't know. It's a bit of a toughie because it's a selling point, but at the same time, it does somewhat break the core mechanic, which is sort of survival and difficulty of attaining things. This flight mechanic takes all that away, makes things easy. So, I'm not a big fan of making things easy, but I do like a nice cinematic view. We are venturing into much more dangerous territory now, though. There's raptors more often. As you can see down below, there's a Spinosaurus as well, just chomping away at fish or whatever it is that it eats. And we have to be a bit more careful about where we land, because these flyers don't have infinite stamina, so you must land and protect each other and stuff. So yeah, this was a very enjoyable experience, though, flying around as a small fleet, as it were. It was cool. I enjoyed it. It makes me sad to think that there's PvE maps online that have been completely dominated by these stupid little pillars, um, and that players just dominate the good parts of the map, and that you don't stand a chance of going out and getting yourself really established on any of these things. I mean, setting up a private server is great and everything, but then you don't have the experience of running into random players. I get that people don't want other people building too near them, especially on a PvP server. It's very, very risky, but at the same time, like God, just it's awful. We had to get a private server out of honestly out of necessity because being able to build on a PvE server is just impossible. I went on a good number of them and just found that every time I would run around on the beach or in the forest or any decent location, like anything that could even be remotely classed as decent, was just taken up. You'd try to build and building is restricted, building is restricted, building is restricted, and it's just frustrating. I don't understand why the developers would allow their worlds to be dominated quite so obviously and farcically. It's silly. It really is. But whatever. I did actually send a ticket in about it, and asked them, hey, what's going on with these pillars? And they just said, what part of the map is on what server is this problem occurring? And I was like, well, how could you not know? This is your game, and so many people have already complained about it. I said, this is happening everywhere, and they were like, oh, okay, right, well, we'll look into it. And in the meantime, we're going to consider this problem resolved. And they just closed my ticket. And honestly, I felt like that was just poor customer service. It's just so many problems like that are just fobbed off. That's not a problem. Don't worry about it. You know, I feel like another one of those problems is something that's setting in right now. Not to mention the shadows in this game. As you can see, the way the lighting works is really weird. On the water, the way the reflections work, the wings look like they're reflecting a giant. I guess difficult to describe, but like giant shadows across the water. The trees do the same, and it kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. It's not very good. But talking about breaking the experience, though, is darkness. Like God, developers really need to start addressing the fact that players can't see on a night time. What's the point in building a beautiful game if you're just going to cover it in darkness? Now, I understand that nighttime occurs and you want to make your game difficult in that it's dangerous to go out at night, you can't see. But there's ways around the darkness. You could just turn that moonlight up just a little bit, and if you're going to be slightly unrealistic, you might as well take advantage of that and bounce the moonlight off of just about everything. Give it all a little outline. Just give the player the ability to sort of just be able to see through those little outlines, that little bit of fade. I don't know, maybe some other little light sources that just make it a little easier, because honestly I feel like I can see better at nighttime in real life than I can at nighttime on a game. And the irony is that the better the graphics get, or the better the machine you're using, I should say, and the higher the graphic settings you're able to put on, the more likely it is that you're not going to be able to see. My friend has an amazing TV, 4K or 8K or whatever it is nowadays, um, and he's turned he turns the graphic settings up to ultra or whatever's the highest, and then he complains that he can't see anything at night time because everything's covered up through darkness. And I just find this to be really odd, and it can be really frustrating. It's half the game. Half of your game experience is taken up with time where you can't see. I mean, that's what's happening right now. I'm sitting this bird right here because I can't see. I mean, I can fly in a direction for sure and get to where I want to go, but I don't know where to land, really. Um, it's difficult. It makes me just want to sort of sit there and go and make a cup of tea or whatever it is that people do and wait until morning, which is it's not very good experience. There's got to be a better way of doing things. I felt like Avatar's probably the sort of way to go, especially if you've got a world here that's been that's a completely fabricated world, completely created. You could do whatever you want. You know, why aren't there bioluminescent plants everywhere? Why aren't there more bioluminescent fish in the water, or animals even, that just light everything up, make it look a little bit prettier? Yeah, you've got these giant glowy drops everywhere that are breaking the immersion, and yet, and they light up the immediate area, but you know, they don't solve the problem. So back to our experience. We obviously decided to move. We'd scouted out a spot. We knew where we were going. We were going to go to Cool Lake. We ended up going to Hell. It was just a better island, and it wasn't nearly as bad as we seemed to think that it was. So yeah, Richard got himself a base set up there, and we decided to get everything that we cared about at this base, put it on the ship, and get going. I like this little section of video because it does show how we sort of worked as a team to deal with the threat. The different players would break off and fight the dinosaurs in order to protect players that had stuff on them or didn't have any weapons. It's great. I like that. I like that a lot. It's funny that this game has been out for quite a long time, and still at 200 yards I'm looking at a giant triangle as opposed to an actual creature. I'm not sure I understand these big games and the process, like why they end up being a mess, really, for want of a better way of putting it. I mean, you know, it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's a great game, it's impressive, but there's certain elements of it that just absolutely destroy your immersion, or annoy you to the degree where you feel like not playing, or it ruins your experience in some fashion. You end up having to find some kind of way around that thing, if there's a way around that thing. But you know, either way, I mean, I guess it is what it is. There's not much competition for a game like that, so I don't suppose that you really have to worry too much about fixing the things that are broken. And the funny part is that at the moment we're taking advantage of a broken mechanic, which is that you can effectively build a giant house on a raft, and then you can put dinosaurs on that house, and you can put a workshop on the inside and everything, effectively turning this thing into a mini ship, which I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it certainly does break the immersion. Again, you know, you look at it and you think, well, this makes the game a lot easier, being able to just sail through the shallow waters around to any part of the map that you kind of please. That's on the outskirts, of course, you know, you're not getting into the inner workings of the island this way, but yeah, I don't know, I feel like there needs to be a lot more effort in order to get something like this, because there isn't a lot of effort that you need to put in at the moment to do this. Again, I'm not sure. It's funny these days. I hear a lot of people saying, "Wow, what a beautiful game." I think to myself, well, is it? I mean, it does look nice for sure, but it's fairly easy to create a game that looks this nice. So you know, is it really so beautiful, or is it just the norm now? I mean, or is beautiful the norm? I guess I don't know. I look and I see some half decent lighting and some half decent water, and yeah, the layout's pretty nice, so it looks relatively realistic. But overall, I don't know. I guess my standards are a little higher now. I've played around with Unreal a lot now and Unity, and I've seen what those engines are capable of. And then I look back at a game like Ark and I think, well, this is actually quite simple. So I don't know. I suppose it's just moments that can be beautiful as opposed to the actual game itself. sailing along the side of this island and staring at the beach, and seeing some of the animals on it and the trees and everything like that. It can create like a sort of beautiful atmosphere and evoke those feelings of content and satisfaction that you're in a world that's developed and built. But I don't know. You know, now that I think about it, lighting is key. Everything revolves around good lighting. Earlier on, I talked about the darkness in games and how it can ruin it. But I think that on the reverse of it, during the day, the fact that the lighting is often so striking, the shadows are quite hard shadows, it can complement the game quite nicely, and make something relatively mundane look spectacular, especially with a nice sunset or sunrise. Um, so yeah, I think that's a good point to make, that lighting is key. That's what I hear when I watch anything else on other media as well. One thing I definitely have got a handle on is the build mechanic. I really like it, and I'm obsessed with building thatched buildings.
Yo voy a cantar esta canción para mi gente, con una pasión tan fuerte. Ay, 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 ahora sigo cantando y sigo gozando, yo sigo cantando y sigo gozando.
So after getting all the buildings set up on Hell in order to help out the rest of the team and give them a base of operations to tame animals and stuff, I decided to go out scouting again for a better build zone. Hell was fine, but it was a bit small. Some of the areas that would be best for building had been taken up by other buildings and other structures and stuff. So, as I say, decided to set out, look for some areas that were nice and flat, nice and large. The overall goal in the end was obviously to build that castle, build Edoras or something along those lines. So we needed a much bigger area than just a small island, although the small island at the bottom right of the map, labelled pointless, does still hold my interest. I still want to effectively build my permanent base there, and everything else will just be fun, mess around really. I have learnt that going out on this game, even if you are with your team, sometimes it's a good idea to go out without any of your gear on you, although for some reason my hair ends up becoming very Bob Rossy, but I quite like that. So here's the small shack that I decided to set up to get myself established in this area. It's a swampy area, so I had to surround it with spikes, but it didn't take long to go and get something similar built up near the waterfall, which I really like the look of. We decided to get the pen set up pretty quickly because protecting the animals was a priority for the other players. Yeah, so this was a great area to get set up in. Eventually, we managed to get 3 houses set up along the waterfall, the staple 3 houses of my game making, which is main house for crafting and stuff, storage shed, and a spawn zone, a guest house. Teammate of mine also got a greenhouse set up, and we also got the pen built a lot bigger. Didn't take too long to do this either once we started working as a team. I really wanted to keep the base looking aesthetically pleasing, whereas my friend wanted it functional, so we managed to meet somewhere in the middle and create this building, which I think looks really nice on the side of the pen, but doesn't look boxy, but is also functional. The greenhouse looks fantastic. I was worried because my friend built it without saying anything. I thought, oh my god, it's gonna ruin the aesthetic, but it turns out that it was my worries were unfounded because it looks amazing. Speaking of looking amazing, these little benches, these things like this. This is what the game's all about for me. Little areas like that for sitting. The railing along the side, the little torches, the bridge looks amazing across this waterfall. The little guest house, the way it's all set up, it's just, this is what I play it for. It's not, again, it's not for the taming of the dinosaurs, it's not for really much else. It's for creating a nice area where the team can live and operate and have fun together. And on that note, I'm going to go to sleep and log out. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you next time.